Chapter 131, 113, Cohabitation Life _3. Han, my dorm is near the entrance to the inner campus, Zhongyuan Building number 8, dorm 603. Ziyi Chen, okay, I'll be there shortly. After replying to the message, Lin Zikan didn't hesitate for a moment and quickly picked up his luggage and set out. If someone chooses not to live in a luxury apartment, they must be out of their mind. Zhongyuan Building number 8, a high-end dormitory building constructed by Evolution College at its own expense, was specially designed to attract top talents from various regions. At the entrance of the building stood two statues about the height of a person. On the left was a dragon soaring through the clouds, and on the right was a phoenix dancing gracefully. The combination of the dragon and the phoenix exuded a majestic aura. When Lin Zikan arrived at this dormitory, the sight of the dragon and phoenix at the entrance gave rise to a twinge of worry in his heart. Comparing Evolution College's upscale dormitory to the small single room he was assigned, his own felt like a crudely made dog kennel. And this dog kennel was supposedly the best dormitory in the martial arts college. This inevitably made him question whether Lu Chuanyu, as the Dean of Martial Arts College, had the capability to fulfill the promise of triple benefits. The triple benefits they had discussed initially referred mainly to evolutionary resources, such as exotic beast meat, exotic flowers and fruits, and pills that could increase chi blood, among others. However, judging by the disparity in accommodations, Lin Zikan felt somewhat doubtful, worried that Lu Chuanyu might not have the funds to provide the triple benefits. Shaking his head, he stopped dwelling on it. Lin Zikan took the elevator to Shen Qinghan's dorm 603 and sent her a message that he had arrived, standing outside her door. Less than a second after sending the message, the door in front of him opened. Shen Qinghan, wearing a dress, stood at the entrance and said, "Xiao Chen, come inside. I've turned on the air conditioning in the living room, it's super cool." Lin Zikan dragged his suitcase inside, curiously surveying the interior of the room. It was large and spacious. The floor and ceiling were spotless, without a trace of dust. Clearly, it hadn't been Shen Qinghan who cleaned up the place, but it had been tidied up before she moved in. "This dorm is so luxurious and clean. It's obvious that your cheap master cares a lot about you. You didn't recognize a master in vain." "I think so too, master really treats me well," Shen Qinghan said, smiling sweetly with her eyes curved into crescents. After chatting briefly, the two quickly opened their suitcases and began arranging the dormitory. It took about half an hour to set everything in place. Towels, toothbrushes, slippers, and other daily necessities were neatly arranged, creating a pleasant sight. "Xiao Chen, from now on, this is our little home. With no parents around, we can run around naked and nobody will care," Shen Qinghan said, sitting casually on the floor, her face beaming with a smile, looking forward to the cohabiting life with Lin Zikan. Lin Zikan was somewhat taken aback. "What do you mean running around naked? Don't get too carried away." "Oh, come on, that was just an exaggerated way of expressing freedom," Shen Qinghan retorted, somewhat speechless. Then she got up and headed towards the bathroom, saying as she walked, "I sweated a lot when I went to register as a new student earlier. Now that the sweat has dried, I feel sticky and need to take a shower." Seeing her enter the bathroom empty-handed, Lin Zikan reminded her, "You're not taking your clothes, are you planning to come out naked?" "I'm already in the bathroom, and I'm too lazy to go out and get them." "You'll bring them for me, won't you?" By now, Shen Qinghan was treating Lin Zikan as her husband, planning on living with him as a married couple would. After all, they had grown up together and were incredibly familiar with and understood each other well. In essence, there was no difference from an old married couple. Soon, the sound of Shen Qinghan humming songs could be heard from the bathroom, a content and relaxed tone in her voice. Lin Zikan sat down on the sofa, took out the student handbook obtained during registration from his backpack, and began to read out of boredom. The content was mainly divided into two parts. One was an introduction to the school's specialties, and the other was the details of the school's regulations. Lin Zikin quickly flipped through the pages at a glance, but when he saw the section on credits, he immediately became interested. At Shanghai University, credits were akin to contribution points in cultivation novels, which could be exchanged for various evolutionary resources in the school. For specifics, he could download a school app to check. There's a shopping platform like Marketplace section in the school app where students can use credits to exchange for various evolutionary resources. Following the guidance of the student handbook, Lin Zikin swiftly downloaded the Shanghai University app. He then logged into his student account, navigated to the Marketplace page, and opened it to broaden his horizons. The web page opened quickly, displaying the Marketplace in less than a second. What caught Lin Zikin's eyes next was a plethora of evolutionary resources that money couldn't buy. There was exotic beast meat he had never seen before. There were exotic beast gene reagents. There were exotic flowers and fruits. There were mechanical modification parts. And there was an array of advanced weapons and equipment, and so forth. At a glance, all were rare resources that money couldn't buy outside, exclusive to the school. These are all amazing things, Lin Zikin remarked, his eyes almost gleaming as he looked at the items. Unfortunately, as a new student without any credits, he could only look at these desirable items, unable to purchase them. Now, how does one earn credits again? Thinking this, Lin Zikin picked up the student handbook and continued reading about credits. After a thorough reading, he learned there were 3 ways to earn credits. First, by climbing the peak or rookie rankings. Students who made the list received monthly credit rewards. Chapter 132, 113, Cohabitation Life _4. 2. Receive tasks distributed by the school, and earn credit rewards after completing them. 3. Represent the school in competitions, and earn credit rewards for achieving excellent results outside. In the past, I was thinking about how to make money in university to buy exotic beast meat, but now I don't have to worry about that, just think about how to earn credits and that's it. As Lin Zikin was thinking about this, a shout came from the bathroom. Xiao Chen, I'm done washing, help me bring in clothes, just grab any dress. No need for underwear. Shen Qinghan was used to not wearing underwear right after a bath because the body is wet, and you need to air dry to evaporate the moisture on the skin before putting on underwear. Okay, coming. Lin Zikin responded and went into the room to grab clothes for Shen Qinghan. Just as she had said, he only took a dress. Creak. Lin Zikin opened the bathroom door and saw Shen Qinghan soaking in the bathtub, her fair and tender shoulders emerging above the water surface, which was quite tempting. Especially her cheeks, flushed red from the hot water, had a beauty like a lotus flower emerging from the water. Lin Zikin didn't look too much, he hung the dress on the wall and was about to leave. Xiao Chen, it's so comfortable to soak in this bathtub, do you want to come in and join me? As if afraid that Lin Zikin wouldn't join her, Shen Qinghan added, such a big tub of hot water, it would be too wasteful to let it drain away after only I use it. Seeing that Shen Qinghan, a girl, had pushed the invitation this far, Lin Zikin felt that it would be impolite not to join her. Then let's soak. After saying that, Lin Zikin undressed in front of Shen Qinghan, conscientiously went over to the shower to rinse off his body, and only after getting clean did he join her in the tub. As for being straightforward in front of Shen Qinghan, since she had already seen everything that night in the room, and even touched, there was nothing to be embarrassed about. Quickly washing himself, Lin Zikin sat down in the tub next to Shen Qinghan, facing her as they soaked together. After soaking for a while, he looked at Shen Qinghan in front of him and asked, by the way, I previously learned back scrubbing from online videos, do you want to experience it? Sure. Shen Qinghan nodded with a blush on her soft voice. After speaking, she turned her back to Lin Zikin, allowing him to scrub her back. Lin Zikin had only learned back scrubbing from online videos before, but this was his first time actually doing it. Nevertheless, his technique on Shen Qinghan's back was so proficiently frightening, it seemed more skilled than many bath workers who had decades of experience. You are helping Shen Qinghan scrub her back, hand agility +1, back scrubbing proficiency +1. This is strange, in the videos they just rub a little and dirt comes right off, but why can't I see any dirt on your back after scrubbing for so long? Lin Zikin had scrubbed Shen Qinghan's clean, snow-white back for nearly 10 minutes, yet strangely, no dirt had come off, which was quite unscientific. Shen Qinghan said with a bit of pride, "That's because I'm clean. No matter how clean, it's impossible not to have any dirt, this is already unscientific." Having said that, Lin Zikin added, "I think it must be related to your special water attribute physique, which naturally keeps your skin clean." "It should be." Shen Qinghan nodded in agreement. Since her childhood, she had never scrubbed any dirt off her body during baths and was always aware of her unique body cleanliness trait. She just never considered her water attribute superpower before. The more Lin Zikin scrubbed, the more incredible he found it and said with envy, "You really have a divine physique, your body doesn't get dirty, even your sweat smells nice, it's too incredible." "Jealous. Jealous." Lin Zikin admitted sincerely. Shen Qinghan laughed. Then turned to face him and said, "Little Lin, you've scrubbed my back for so long, now it's Xiao Shen's turn to scrub you. Alright, let's experience Xiao Shen's scrubbing technique." Lin Zikin smiled, and was about to turn around to enjoy the gentle caress of Shen Qinghan's hands. However, Shen Qinghan said, "No need to turn around." Lin Zikin thought Shen Qinghan was going to scrub his back, but that wasn't the case at all. P.S. Bowing my head, asking for monthly and recommendation tickets. Chapter 133, 114. Heading to the Tianren Pavilion headquarters. After the bath, Lin Zikin emerged from the bathroom, looking refreshed and revitalized. Shen Qinghan's jade-like hands were so warm and soft, the touch was incredibly comfortable, under her careful kneading, every second was a supreme delight. "My skills aren't bad, right?" Dressed in just a sundress, Shen Qinghan followed Lin Zikin at a leisurely pace, a hint of smugness on her face. "Sure, it was good, but it still couldn't compare to mine," Lin Zikin thought to himself, nodding in agreement. "Your skills are indeed good, they really make me want to linger." Winning Lin Zikin's approval made Shen Qinghan feel quite pleased with herself. She walked around to face Lin Zikin, with sparkling peach blossom eyes. She smiled and suggested, "Then, next time we take a bath, let's do it just like we did just now. You help me scrub my back first, and after I'm comfortable, I'll help you scrub, what do you think?" "Deal." Lin Zikin agreed without hesitation. Before they knew it, it was nearly 12 noon. It was time for lunch. Lin Zikin suggested going out to eat, but Shen Qinghan, claiming it was too hot outside and that she didn't want to sweat right after bathing, proposed they order takeout and eat at home. Most people could just carry an umbrella, walk slowly, and eat in an air-conditioned restaurant without sweating too much. But Shen Qinghan was not most people, she had a constitution that sweated easily. A little exercise or a slight rise in temperature would leave her drenched in sweat. "What would you like to eat?" Lin Zikin took out his phone, opened the university's app, navigated to the takeout section, and showed the screen to Shen Qinghan, asking her opinion. Looking at the unfamiliar interface on the screen, Shen Qinghan asked curiously, "What takeout platform is this? I've never seen it before." "This is the Shanghai University app, which includes a delivery platform exclusive to the school, a store for exchanging evolution resources, and all kinds of other convenient features." "That sounds really handy." "It is quite convenient. You can download it by scanning this QR code in the student handbook." "I'll download it too." Shen Qinghan promptly took out her phone to scan the code and download the app. Lin Zikin reminded her, "You still haven't said what you want to eat." "Anything is fine, I'll just have the same as you. Then I'll order potato chicken stew. After making his choice, Lin Zikin selected potato chicken stew on the page and spent 50 yuan to place an order for 2 servings. One serving was 25 yuan. Takeout was outrageously expensive these days. He couldn't help but grumble to himself as he looked at the payment message on his phone. At that moment, Shen Qinghan chimed in, "This university app also sells fresh vegetables, rice, and meat. You can buy everything you need for daily necessities like grains, oils, and condiments. How about we buy our groceries and cook our own meals in the future?" "That's a good idea." Lin Zikin agreed instantly without a second thought. If they could cook their own food, they certainly should. It was better to minimize ordering takeout. Of course, this was under the premise that their cooking skills were up to par. Both Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan were masterful in the kitchen, making everything delicious. One was a natural, able to cook just from watching videos. The other had learned from her mother since childhood. With practice came proficiency. After lunch, Lin Zikin rested for a while, and once he felt his food had digested sufficiently, he began to temper his body. He was tempering his skin, undergoing the tempering skin process for the second time. The second tempering skin was far more difficult than the first. Lin Zikin had tempered for more than 2 hours before he finished tempering the skin on his entire right hand for the second time. The process was noticeably painful, consuming more qi blood energy. In contrast, the first time he tempered, it took only a little over half an hour to complete the same process on his entire right hand. Most importantly, there hadn't been much pain during the first tempering, just a slightly burning sensation, hardly painful at all. "Do you have a sewing needle?" Lin Zikin looked over at Shen Qinghan and asked. He needed a sharp needle to test the strength of his twice-tempered skin, recalling that Su Meng had prepared a toolbox for Shen Qinghan containing all kinds of tools. Shen Qinghan, who was lying on the bed scrolling through her phone, her fair and slender legs swinging back and forth, looked quite eye-catching. Upon hearing Lin Zikin ask for a sewing needle, she immediately set down her phone and said, "I have one, I'll get it for you now." She quickly found a box and handed it to Lin Zikin. The box contained more than 10 sharp sewing needles. Curious about Lin Zikin's request for a sewing needle, she asked, "What do you need a sewing needle for?" "To prick my hand with." "Prick your hand?" "Yeah, to prick my hand, to test the strength of my skin." After explaining briefly, Lin Zikin picked out the sharpest sewing needle from the small box and forcefully pricked his right hand with it. The action was so sudden. Shen Qinghan was startled and let out an "ah," instinctively flinching. Lin Zikin was amused by her reaction. "It's not like I'm pricking your hand, why such a big reaction?" Regardless of whether it's my hand, that sudden and forceful jab without any warning would startle anyone. Having said that, Shen Qinghan looked quite displeased. "Easy for you to say standing over there without a care." Lin Zikin smiled and said no more, his gaze returning to his own right hand. At that moment, on the back of his hand, a very sharp sewing needle was pressing against the skin but couldn't pierce through. It merely created a small indentation on the skin. "My goodness, such a sharp needle, and despite pressing so hard, it can't even penetrate the back of your hand. You're practically invulnerable." Shen Qinghan was incredulous, visibly shocked by the strength of Lin Zikin's skin. Lin Zikin explained, "My right hand's skin has been tempered twice now, it's normal for it to have this strength." Chapter 134, 114. Heading to the Tianren Pavilion headquarters _2. Then this blood tempering technique is really too impressive. It has me wanting to follow the pure blood human path. Shen Qinghan said enviously. If given the choice, who wouldn't choose to become stronger without undergoing genetic fusion? Probably very few people in the world would opt for genetic fusion. After all, the thought of fusing the genes of other organisms into one's own body is quite repulsive. It's not just the blood tempering technique that's impressive, it's also my own awesomeness. If someone else practiced the blood tempering technique, it's highly unlikely they would achieve the same effective results as me. Lin Zikan said bluntly and without modesty, better to prevent Shen Qinghan from impulsively dropping out of Evolution College to pursue the pure-blood human path. With a 21% adaptability to genetic fusion, joining Tianren Pavilion to follow the pure-blood human path would be such a waste, utterly irrational, and totally unnecessary. Most crucially, Shen Qinghan's physical strength was not outstanding in following the pure-blood human path. It would be a dead end. At least that's how it seems for now. You are puncturing the back of your right hand with a sewing needle, right hand skin resilience +1 +1 +1 +1 +1. For the next half a minute or so, Lin Zikan continued to prick his hand with the sewing needle. The pricking became faster and harder, until the sewing needle bent, yet the skin remained completely undamaged. The right hand, after second stage tempering skin, had reached maximum resilience, to the point of being impervious to blades and guns. After testing the skin's resilience, Lin Zikan quickly stood up and walked into the kitchen to test the next attribute of his skin: heat resistance. He turned on the gas stove, and placed the palm of his right hand above the flame. Soon, a plethora of digital information began to pop up in the void. You are burning your right hand palm heat resistance +1 +1 +1 +1 +1. In the beginning, there was no sensation of burning at all. It wasn't until after a minute had passed that a clear sensation of burning emerged, becoming slightly painful. The effects of the blood tempering technique are really fierce. With the biometric attributes principle of use it or lose it, I'll eventually reach physical sanctification. Lin Zikan murmured to himself, slightly energized. In the time that followed, Lin Zikan sat cross-legged on the floor of his room, focusing on the second stage of tempering skin. The efficiency of the tempering was a bit slow. He had to stop about every half an hour to rest and eat something to recover the qi blood consumed by tempering. Just before 4 p.m., the smartphone by his side vibrated slightly. He picked it up to see that President Lu Juanwu had sent a message on WeChat. President Lu, Ziai Chen, have you reported to Shanghai University yet? Ziai Chen, I arrived this morning. President Lu, how do you find the luxury personal dormitory I prepared for you? Ziai Chen, it's nice. President Lu, are you free right now? If so, do you want to come over to Tianren Pavilion's headquarters for a tour? I'll show you around, and you can meet other members of the pavilion. Ziai Chen, I'm free. Lu Juanwu, okay, wait for someone in the lobby of your dormitory building to come pick you up. You just arrived at the school, and aren't familiar with the place yet. It's better to avoid getting lost. Ziai Chen, President, I'm not at my dormitory right now. I'm in my childhood friend's dorm, Zhongyuan Building number 8, room 603. Lu Juanwu, then I'll have someone go to Zhongyuan Building number 8 to pick you up. Ziai Chen, alright, I'll head down now. After responding to the message, Lin Zikan said to Shen Qinghan, who was at his side, the head of Martial Arts College has invited me over to Tianren Pavilion's headquarters for a look. I'll step out for a bit. Oh, go ahead. Shen Qinghan responded. At the moment, she was browsing through seasonings on the school's food delivery app, doing the groundwork for cooking in the dormitory in the future. Lin Zikan put on his shoes, went out the door, and took the elevator down to the lobby of the dormitory building. Then, he walked to a tree in front of the building and stood there playing with his phone, silently waiting for someone from Tianren Pavilion to arrive. Before long, a boy with bleached blonde hair, a muscular build, and a bit of handsomeness walked past him nonchalantly. This guy recognized him as the second-ranking top student from Nanjiang province who had joined Tianren Pavilion, and he approached him with interest, saying, I know you, you're Lin Zikan, the second-ranking top student from Nanjiang province who joined Tianren Pavilion. Lin Zikan looked up upon hearing this, gave a polite hello, and then lowered his head to his phone again, not wanting to engage in further conversation with the swaggering blonde. However, the blonde adopted a rather familiar manner and didn't move on, starting to chat on his own accord. To be honest, I really admire you for giving up the path of genetic fusion and taking up the currently uncertain pure-blood human path. It's genuine admiration, no sarcasm here. I've always believed that any research direction, if started with good intentions, should be encouraged rather than ridiculed. I'm also a freshman like you this year, but I'm from Capital City. I lived close to the Capital University, often wandering around its campus when I was a kid. Once upon a time, there was a research institute in Capital University that studied the pure-blood human path, but with no significant progress after more than 20 years, they dissolved the institute. As far as I know, only Shan University still maintains this kind of research institute. I hope the Pure Blood Human Research Institute at Shan University will continue to stand the test of time until one day it achieves groundbreaking results that will astound the world. There I go again, blabbering too much. As always, I didn't mean to ramble. I still have to get my dorm sorted out. I'll head off now. I hope you make great achievements at Tianren Pavilion. Fight on! With that, the blonde guy made a cheering gesture to Lin Zikin and turned to enter the upscale dormitory of Evolution College, in the very building that Shen Qinghan was staying in. Chapter 135, 114. Heading to the Tianren Pavilion headquarters _3. Being able to live in Evolution College's high-end dormitory signified that this blondie was also a genius. Moreover, a top-ranking genius in the entire province. Otherwise, he would never have had the privilege to stay in this luxurious dormitory building of Evolution College. This guy is really eccentric. Watching the blondie's retreating figure, Lin Zikin couldn't help but inwardly mock with this comment. The blondie had suddenly come up to him, spouting a whole lot of words on his own accord, then, feeling satisfied with himself, turned around and left without any interaction throughout the entire exchange. Such behavior was too odd, giving off vibes akin to a patient in a mental institution. Lin Zikin thought that perhaps geniuses had always been this distinctive from the crowd since childhood. For example, Shen Qinghan had wet the bed throughout his childhood. And, like the blondie who just left, enjoyed bizarrely babbling to people without any interaction, the kind that talked non-stop by himself. Vroom vroom vroom. At that moment, the roaring sound of a motorcycle erupted. Lin Zikin followed the noise and saw a scene unfolding before him, a beautiful lady dressed in a martial arts uniform riding a flaming red motorcycle heading his way. She had a tall and slim figure, with beautiful curves, and her facial features were more three-dimensional, resembling a mixed-race child born to a combination of Eastern and Western parents. Soon, the motorcycle stopped in front of Lin Zikin. The high beauty value lady on the bike turned to him with a bright smile and asked, "Hello, are you Lin Zikin?" Lin Zikin, "Yes, it's me." The lady's voice was sensuous as she said, "Let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Song Yuan, I am a mentor at Martial Arts College as well as a researcher at Tianren Pavilion. I came here to pick you up and take you to the Tianren Pavilion headquarters." Song Yuan? Lin Zikin was very familiar with this name. During the morning's encounter with the senior sister at the student combat power rankings, he had heard this name from her. This Song Yuan was the same one who had joined Tianren Pavilion years ago, followed the pure-blood human path, and vanished into the crowd as the second topper of the capital city's college entrance exams. While Lin Zikin was thinking this over, Song Yuan turned her motorcycle around and said to him, "Come on, sit behind me. I'll drive you there." "Okay." Lin Zikin responded, and without wasting time, he swung his leg over and sat on the back seat of the motorcycle, hands holding the rear, trying to avoid any physical contact with Song Yuan as much as possible. Seeing him settled, Song Yuan twisted the throttle and drove off. On the road, they chatted sporadically. It was mostly Song Yuan talking, while Lin Zikin was responsible for responding. "Since we're both going to be members of Tianren Pavilion, I'll call you Zi Chen, and you can call me Sister Yan," she said. After speaking, Song Yuan laughed and added, "Zi Chen, your looks are a bit too handsome, you must have been chased by girls a lot before, haven't you? Lin Zikin, it's okay. You're a bit modest. After laughing, Song Yuan continued, originally, the dean had arranged for a senior to pick you up, but I became interested when I heard you were this year's second topper in the Nanjiang province exams, so I volunteered to come fetch you. Are you happy to have such a beautiful senior come to pick you up willingly? Lin Zikin, I feel very honored. Song Yuan curiously asked, by the way, you're a student of martial arts college, so what were you doing downstairs at Evolution College's high-end dorm just now? Lin Zikin, my childhood friend lives there, I came to visit her. Song Yuan chuckled and said, tisk tisk, only the best of the best from Evolution College get to live there, your childhood friend must be quite something. Lin Zikin. It's okay. Song Yuan suggested with a smile, speaking of which, Evolution College's high-end dorms are much better than the shabby dorms of Martial Arts College. Haven't you considered moving in with your childhood friend? Lin Zikin, we're already living together. He felt there was nothing special about cohabitating with Shen Qinghan, sooner or later, everyone would naturally find out, so there was no harm in mentioning it now. Wow, I was just making a casual comment, but you've already moved in together. Young people nowadays are impressive, Song Yuan said and added with a gossip-filled expression, so, now that you're cohabitating, does that make you and your childhood friend boyfriend-girlfriend? Lin Zikin, yes. Hearing this reply, Song Yuan's face was full of envy, that's wonderful. Unlike me, I'm almost in my 30s and haven't even touched a man's hand, let alone lived with one. Lin Zikin smiled and remained silent. This Song Yuan, with her pretty face and sexy body, if she really wanted to live with a man, she'd only need to flick her finger and plenty of men would queue up for her choosing. Her current claim could either mean she was an old hand at love feigning innocence as a fishing tactic, or she was a lesbian uninterested in men, hence why she hadn't touched a man. In any case, it wasn't because she lacked charm. P.S. Begging bowl out, seeking monthly and recommendation tickets. Chapter 136, 115, A Peerless Genius. About 5 minutes later, the motorcycle pulled up to a secluded building and stopped. It's called secluded because the building is situated next to the back mountain of the school. Surrounding it were only trees, no other buildings. Above the entrance to the building hung an eye-catching signboard, Pure Human Research Institute. Lin Zikin guessed that the Pure Human Research Institute was probably an abbreviation for the Pure Blood Human Research Institute. Song Yuan casually parked the bike to one side, turned to Lin Zikin, and said, come on, I'll show you around first, then I'll take you to the dean. After dropping that remark, she strode toward the inside of the institute. Lin Zikin followed closely behind, taking in the surroundings as he entered. This Pure Human Research Institute was a bit different from what one might expect of a research facility. The lighting inside was quite dim. It lacked the array of sophisticated high-tech equipment that one might have envisioned. All there were corners piled with all sorts of old and unwanted items. It looked like a large storeroom. But upon closer inspection, those so-called old items in the corners actually resembled antiques of great research value. Soon, they entered a brightly lit hall. Inside was a television, a computer, sofas, a massage chair, and even a bed, giving off a homely vibe. Upon reaching this hall and breaking her silence, Song Yuan began to explain, this is the Institute's living and leisure area. When research gets dull, you can come here to rest and relax. The big room we just passed by is the Institute's storage area, where we keep all kinds of things that we're not currently researching. It looks rather messy, but everything there is valuable. Further inside is the research area, where everyone cooperates with the dean on research most of the time. Song Yuan, speaking as she stopped in front of a refrigerator about 2 meters tall, grabbed a bottle of drink and tossed it to Lin Zikin, saying, anything in the fridge was bought with our budget, feel free to take whatever you want to eat or drink. After that, she closed the refrigerator door and set off into the depths once more, walking with long strides and saying, "Come on, I'll take you to the research area to get acquainted with the place." Linziken opened the drink and took a sip, then quickly followed. Once he entered the research area, he looked around. Then he realized, it was not much different from the storage area they had initially passed through. It was just as cluttered, with old items everywhere, not a single piece of the high-tech equipment he'd imagined in sight. "Sister Yan, why does the institute feel so empty? I haven't seen a single person." Seeing that the storage area, the living and leisure area, and the research area were all deserted, and he had not seen anyone else since they had arrived, Linziken couldn't help feeling puzzled. Song Yuan explained with a wry smile, "The Tianren Pavilion has always been unpopular, the school gives us very little funding, so we can't support many people. Also, after many years of research into the pure-blood human path, there's been no significant progress, and many people have lost patience and chosen to give up, gradually leading to the decline of the Tianren Pavilion, so now there are very few people. Of course, that's just one reason. The main reason is the dean thinks that Tianren Pavilion doesn't need too many people, a few geniuses are enough, otherwise, too many people would only distract his attention. So now Tianren Pavilion only consists of the dean, you, me, and 3 fourth-year martial arts students. Beyond that, there is no one else. Even if there are others, they are the ones with poor commitment, those who come in full of passion and then can't endure the challenges and choose to leave." Song Yuan didn't hide the desolation of the Tianren Pavilion at all, and chose to tell the truth. In short, there are very few people who can stay for a long time, and you might leave due to the hardship after half a year yourself. After hearing this, Linziken felt somewhat baffled. So few people in the Tianren Pavilion? Then what about those people who came to recruit with Lu Juanwu during the summer holidays? Could they have been outsiders brought in by Lu Juanwu just to put on a show? Linziken thought about it and concluded that this was probably the case. After all, Lu Juanwu came to recruit talent. If he had come alone, it would have looked too unimpressive and not conducive to recruitment. At this thought, Linziken suddenly felt deceived. In the time right after his college entrance exams ended, the Tianren Pavilion was often featured in the news, continually boosting its presence, giving the impression it was a major organization. But now, the whole organization had only 6 long-term members, including himself. Such trickery! Linziken shook his head, feeling somewhat disappointed in the scale of the Tianren Pavilion. However, he didn't really care that much. As long as he got the triple benefits promised, everything else was irrelevant. "Dean, I've brought Zi Chen." After giving Linziken a tour around the institute, Song Yuan finally stopped in front of a basement door, knocked on the door, and shouted loudly. She shouted so loudly as if she was afraid that Lu Juanwu inside might not hear her. Soon, the door to the basement opened. Lu Juanwu stood at the door with a messy head of hair, dark circles under his eyes, and smiled at Linziken, saying, "Zi Chen, you're here. Come on, I'll show you around and help you get familiar with the institute." Song Yuan interjected, "No need, Dean, I've just taken him around already." Lu Juanwu replied, "Is that so? Well, come on in, let's sit down inside and have a good talk." Linziken followed Song Yuan inside, carefully observing his surroundings. The research room was messy, filled with books, jars and vessels, and even stone steels and other items. They all looked very ancient, as if unearthed from graves. Chapter 137, 115, A Peerless Genius _2. It seems the style of this research institute is all about being outdated. But thinking about it, that makes sense, given that the pure-blood human path inherently has archaeological traits. All the related objects are excavated from ruins. It's not like genetic fusion and mech transformation, which are all about high-tech. "Director, you look so haggard, how long have you been cooped up in there without coming out?" Song Yuan casually picked a chair to sit down on, slinging her legs over the arm in a carefree manner, and looked at Lu Chuanwu as if it were all normal. Lu Chuanwu said listlessly, almost half a month now, constantly researching the content of the blood tempering technique initiation chapters. Sadly, there's still no progress, it's a bit tough to handle. It's mainly the lack of support from martial arts geniuses. The current state of the pure-blood human path still relies on martial arts geniuses with extremely high bodily talents to break new ground. If the talent isn't there, it just isn't, more people won't bring about a qualitative change. However, now that Zi Chen has joined, the pure-blood human path will definitely make great progress. Lu Chuanwu smiled and began to introduce Song Yuan to Lin Zikan, saying, "Don't be fooled by your sister Yan's casual appearance, she was once the second top scorer in the capital city's college entrance examination. It's only with your sister Yan's contribution that the pure-blood human path has made significant strides these years. The biggest development was helping me, who had been stuck at the second body refining for decades, to successfully complete the third body refining 8 years ago, achieving the feat of an ordinary 9th rank pure-blood human crushing a higher, lower rank genetic integrator." As he said this, Lu Chuanwu's eyes were full of gratitude for Song Yuan. If Song Yuan hadn't given up the genetic integrator path and resolutely chosen to join Tianren Pavilion to shine, it would have likely ceased to exist by now. Surprising, right? Back in the day, I was the second top scorer in the capital city's college entrance exam. Song Yuan looked at Lin Zikan with a teasing smile and said, "My physical test scores back then were even higher than yours. Feeling a bit outdone? Okay, we get it, you're amazing, don't demoralize the younger generation." Lu Chuanwu glanced at Song Yuan, then turned to Lin Zikan to reassure him. "Zi Chen, although your physical test data from the high school exams wasn't as good as your sister Yan's, that was just an exam. Life is so long. And there are plenty of examples of accumulating knowledge to achieve success later on. You'll have plenty of opportunities to surpass Sister Yan, I have high hopes for you." Jokingly, "I'm the capital city's top second placer, how could a Nanjiang province's high school top scorer compare to me?" Song Yuan watched with a carefree demeanor, but deep down she was quite proud. However, as much as she thought about it, she still said with a smile, "The director is right, as long as you accumulate enough, it's very possible to rise to the top. Surpassing me isn't impossible." Tianren Pavilion had finally recruited a martial arts genius, they needed to cherish him, offering plenty of encouragement so he wouldn't leave dissatisfied. Lu Chuanwu looked at Lin Zikan and asked, "By the way, how is your progress with the blood tempering technique I gave you over the summer break? Have you learned to control your blood?" "Lin Zikan, I've learned it." Lu Chuanwu asked again, "Has your biological level evolved to ordinary 4th order?" Lin Zikan, "Yeah, it has." Lu Chuanwu, very satisfied, smiled and said, "Good, you've learned blood control and your biological level has evolved to ordinary 4th order. Starting today, you can begin tempering skin. Next, let your sister Yan guide you on how to do it. Aim to complete tempering skin by the first semester of your freshman year, and then start on tempering flesh during the winter break." Like your sister Yan, she successfully completed tempering skin in less than 3 months as a freshman. She has quite a bit of experience and insights on that front, and with her guidance, you will surely complete tempering skin smoothly in your first semester of college. Also, your sister Yan is one of the most skilled instructors at the martial arts college. When it comes to teaching, no one dare claim they're first if she says she's second. With her guidance, you will avoid many detours. Therefore, over the same period, you're likely to go further on the pure-blood human path than she has." Lu Chuanwu, afraid that Lin Zikan might be put off by the dilapidated state of Tianren Pavilion's base and consider leaving, kept offering big promises to encourage him, praising him as a prodigy. Lin Zikan saw his worry and caught on to the promises, simply saying, "Don't worry, director. As long as the triple benefits are realized, I will stay at Tianren Pavilion for all 4 years of college." Stay for 4 years? Wasn't it just for half a year? Lu Chuanwu thought he had heard wrong and quickly asked to confirm, you say you're going to stay at Tianren Pavilion for 4 years. Lin Zikan, as long as the triple benefits keep coming, I can stay in Tianren Pavilion as long. Haha, that's great. Lu Chuanwu was overjoyed, as long as you stay committed to the pure blood human path here at Tianren Pavilion, I promise you the triple benefits will always be there, and you won't miss a thing. Originally he worried that Lin Zikan wouldn't stay long, but now there was no need to. As long as there were triple benefits, he could keep him. As for the issue of funding, it could be solved by spending time with a few old friends. After calming down a bit, Lu Chuanwu quickly realized something. Possibly, Lin Zikan's statement that he would stay at Tianren Pavilion as long as there were triple benefits meant that he truly believed in the principles of Tianren Pavilion. Even without the triple benefits, he might have stayed anyway. Asking for triple benefits was just taking advantage of the situation. After all, if it's free, why not take it? Realizing this, Lu Chuanwu didn't feel like he was at a loss, but rather that he had gained something instead. Chapter 138, 115, A Peerless Genius _3. Because the more Lin Zikan acknowledges the philosophy of Tianren Pavilion, the greater his contribution to the research on the pure blood human path will be. The benefits of this are far more significant than the threefold benefits given away. Song Yuan also saw Lin Zikan's approval of the Tianren Pavilion's ideals, and her fondness for him grew immensely. She beamed like a blooming flower and said, I like you, Junior. Come, Sister Yan will teach you how to perform tempering skin. I guarantee you that you'll finish one cycle of skin tempering in your first semester of freshman year, and then, while the students from Evolution College and Mechanical Academy have yet to grow, you can brutally thrash them with your powerful flesh and blood. Lin Zikan replied indifferently, no need, I've already completed a cycle of skin tempering during the summer vacation. Lu Chuanwu and Song Yuan both had question marks floating over their heads, at first thinking there was something wrong with their ears. Lin Zikan's words were akin to a young child who had just learned to speak, telling their parents that they had learned calculus, which was shocking. Song Yuan was the first to react, saying, you must be joking. You were by yourself at home during the summer vacation, with no one to teach you skin tempering. It would have been great if you could even master blood control, so how could you possibly learn skin tempering, and to temper your full skin at that? Lin Zikan explained, the translated version of the blood tempering technique had detailed annotations. I studied it for a few days and learned how to temper skin. Studied it for a few days? Not quite. In truth, it only took half an hour to learn blood control, and then he intuitively mastered the technique of skin tempering. Ziai Chen, you must be mistaken, you might think you've done skin tempering, but you actually haven't. Lu Chuanwu, too, was incredulous and after speaking, insisted, come on, stretch out your hand and let me see, I need to confirm it. Lin Zikan didn't hurry to extend his hand but instead, with a thought, used the biometric attribute's natural camouflage to disguise his biological status. Biological level disguised as common tier 5. Body refining progress disguised as one cycle of tempering skin. During the summer vacation, he had not skimped on researching his 9 biometric attributes. After some research, he discovered that the natural camouflage attribute could not only hide his vitality to conceal his biological level but also mask other states of his body. After camouflaging his attribute status, Lin Zikan extended his right hand for Lu Chuanwu to examine. Lu Chuanwu grabbed his arm, and after briefly feeling and pinching it, his face was immediately covered in shock, expressing disbelief. How can this be possible? It's really one cycle of skin tempering. Hearing this, Song Yuan quickly stepped forward to feel Lin Zikan's arm as well. When she discovered that Lin Zikan truly had undergone one cycle of skin tempering, her entire world was rocked, her face filled with doubt about life itself. What's going on? How did you do this? This is completely unlike biology. Lu Chuanwu took a deep breath, steadied his emotions, and with trembling lips, asked, Zi Chen, what is your biological level now? Commentary 5. Lin Zikan answered calmly. Upon hearing this answer, Lu Juanwu could no longer suppress the excitement within him, his face bursting with exhilaration as he loudly exclaimed towards Lin Zikan. A genius, a peerless genius. Secure, the pure-blood human path is secured. Haha, with you here, the body of a pure-blood human will definitely break the shackles of ordinary creatures and evolve into an advanced level creature. While Lu Juanwu was getting excited, Song Yuan felt somewhat deflated to the side. She couldn't figure it out, and looking towards Lu Juanwu, she asked, Director, what's going on? His physical talent clearly isn't as high as mine. Why is his practice of the blood tempering technique so much more effective than mine? Lu Juanwu calmed himself once more and after thinking a bit, he explained. In this case, it can only be said that Zi Chen is highly compatible with the blood tempering technique, just like how genetic fusion and mechanical modifications have compatibility, practicing the blood tempering technique also has compatibility. Practicing the blood tempering technique has compatibility too? Was there such a thing? Song Yuan's emotions were complicated. She had always believed that as a martial arts prodigy, she would definitely lead others on the pure-blood human path in the future and become a pioneer of pure-blood humans. However, she was now witnessing someone who was even more suitable for the pure-blood human path than herself, and it unavoidably left her feeling a bit disheartened. But that feeling of disappointment vanished in a flash, replaced by excitement and eagerness. Who was more suited for the pure-blood human path wasn't important at all. What mattered was that someone could pioneer the pure-blood human path, leading everyone to go further. Rather than she herself pioneering and spending a lifetime stuck at the ordinary 9th rank without evolving, it would be far better to honestly follow behind Lin Zikan, treading the path he'd walked easier and less trouble. As for the role of pioneer, it was trivial compared to evolving into an advanced level creature. Having realized this, Song Yuan looked towards Lu Juanwu with excitement and said eagerly, Director, we should quickly publicize Zi Chen's potential to attract more geniuses to Tianren Pavilion and get more funding. Lu Juanwu waved his hand and said, Not at all, let's keep the news of Zi Chen being highly suitable for the pure-blood human path between the three of us for now. Why, Director? Song Yuan was puzzled. Lu Juanwu explained, Previously, I publicly promoted Tianren Pavilion to recruit geniuses, but now that we have the right genius, there is no need to continue publicizing and recruiting. It takes too much time and energy, wasting time we could use for research. It's not about having a lot of geniuses, but about having the right ones. Too many people might not necessarily lead to a qualitative change, but it will certainly dilute our resources. Chapter 139, 115, A Peerless Genius _4. Now that we have Zi Chen, what we need to do is concentrate all resources on him and help him break free from the shackles of being an ordinary creature. Lu Juanwu continued. Of course, the most important thing is the interest involved. It's too risky to rashly reveal Zi Chen's astonishing adaptability to the pure-blood human path, as it may attract danger. Song Yuan frowned, but doing so, how much funding will we lose? Without sufficient funding, it won't be beneficial for researching the pure-blood human path either. Lu Juanwu said with a calm face, Don't worry, in the coming time, I will utilize all the connections I can to raise funds to prepare evolution resources for Zi Chen. Also, once Zi Chen's performance is astonishing enough, I'll find him a backer to ensure his safety, and then promote him vigorously, spreading the philosophy of Tianren Pavilion. With that, we'll have both safety and publicity. The principal is truly considerate. Song Yuan gave Lu Juanwu a thumbs up. Lu Juanwu said with a smile, Of course. The excitement and agitation on both their faces could not be concealed, and they had already started to fantasize about the day Lin Zikan, with a pure-blood human physique, would break free from the restraints of an ordinary creature and evolve into an advanced level creature. Seeing how excited and agitated they were, Lin Zikin couldn't help but smile. To think that just evolving to a common Tier 5 biological level, and completing just one tempering skin during the summer vacation, already got them this excited. If they knew that my biological level had already evolved to an ordinary 9th rank, and that both tempering flesh and bone tempering were already completed, and I am in the midst of a second refinement, wouldn't they be flabbergasted? Ziyi Chen, you don't need to attend classes at the martial arts college anymore. The low-end courses there won't be of much help to you. Just come directly to the Research Institute and work with your sister Yan on researching the pure-blood human path and exchange experiences deeply. After finishing, Lu Chuanwu turned his head toward Song Yuan and said, Yuan, you shouldn't be a mentor anymore either. I'll pay your salary out of my own pocket, and from now on, you'll help Ziyi Chen practice the blood tempering technique, and be his personal mentor, aiding him in his cultivation. Before Song Yuan had a chance to respond, he changed his mind and said, no, that's not right. Ziyi Chen has more talent for practicing the blood tempering technique than you do, you can't be his mentor. You can only be his assistant. From now on, you'll be his exclusive assistant. Principal. Song Yuan expressed her dissatisfaction, don't I have any face left? Lu Chuanwu chuckled and said, you talk about face, but when you're ridiculed and lost in the crowd every day, your face has become as thick as a bulletproof vest, so do you really care about these blunt words I say? Song Yuan rolled her eyes at Lu Chuanwu and didn't bother to talk to him. Lu Chuanwu turned to Lin Zikin with a smile and said, tomorrow afternoon the school will hold a welcome meeting. After it ends, there will be an opening trial to select the newcomer king. Your biological level is as high as a common Tier 5, plus you've completed a tempering skin session, so without accidents, the title of newcomer king will likely be yours. During the trial, remember to give the newcomers from the Evolution College and the Mechanical Academy a good beating. Stand up for the Martial Arts College, and after it's done, I'll give you 10 chi blood pills. This was a personal vendetta. He wanted to embarrass Ma Zhenhe, the principal of his arch-rival Evolution College, and also to have a moment of triumph in front of his ex-wife, Yuan Dongji. Song Yuan said with exasperation, Principal, you still hold grudges just as you did before. So petty. Lu Chuanwu responded nonchalantly, what do you, a youngster, understand? Often, people live for the sake of pride. If holding in anger makes one feel oppressed, then it needs to be vented promptly. Turning back to Lin Zikin, he said with emphasis, the pure-blood human path, at its core, follows the path of Qi blood. Considering Qi blood contains the word Qi, if the Qi isn't flowing smoothly, it will affect the blood, which in turn impacts the physical training. Patting Lin Zikin on the shoulder, he said, if you ever feel frustrated in the future and your strength isn't enough, you can bear it for the time being, but once your strength is sufficient, you must take revenge and release that anger. Thank you for the guidance, Principal. Lin Zikin responded perfunctorily, then asked with genuine concern, Principal, what rewards will the school give for winning the newcomer king title in the opening trial? They award academic credits, Lu Chuanwu replied and continued, according to previous years, first place is rewarded with 10 academic credits, which can be exchanged for evolution resources in the school apps store. You can download the app from the school's official website to see what evolution resources are available. 10 academic credits? Lin Zikin recalled the prices of the items he saw in the school app store that morning, with many seemingly expensive exotic beast gene reagents selling for only 5 credits each. So in this light, a reward of 10 credits seems quite generous. P.S. Please support with monthly and recommendation tickets. Chapter 140, 116, The Only Genetic Integrator Among the Newborns. Lin Zikin had stayed at the Research Institute for a long time, only leaving at 10 p.m. When he returned to the dormitory, Shen Qinghan was fiddling around in the kitchen. She wasn't cooking, just arranging the condiments. Seeing Lin Zikin at the kitchen's entrance, Shen Qinghan looked at him and said, Xiao Chen, you stayed at Tianren Pavilion for quite a while. Hey, I was actually hoping to cook dinner with you tonight. No worries, if we can't have dinner, we can make a midnight snack. I don't want to, eating midnight snacks will make you fat. With such a large amount of exercise, it won't make you fat. Seems like it. Shen Qinghan said with a laugh, and then playfully asked, what do you want for your midnight snack? I'll make it for you now. After thinking for a moment, Lin Zikin said, then let's have noodles. It seems like it's been a long time since I've had your noodles, I want to try them. Okay, I'll make noodles for you. Shen Qinghan said and took 2 pieces of noodle dough, starting to make noodles for Lin Zikin to eat. About 10 minutes later, the noodles were ready. It was made simply, with a fried egg, a few pieces of meat, and some greens. After finishing the noodles and washing the dishes, Shen Qinghan, her arm looped through Lin Zikin's, coyly said, Xiao Chen, how about we take a bath together later? Lin Zikin, I'll scrub your back. Shen Qinghan pursed her cherry lips. A faint blush on her cheeks as she said in a soft voice, just scrubbing the back is so greasy, how about scrubbing some other places too? Lin Zikin, you tell me where to scrub, and I'll scrub. Shen Qinghan smiled delightedly and said, then as a reward, you let me scrub anywhere, and I'll help you scrub there too. The next day, at 5:30 am. Lin Zikin was used to waking up early, he opened his eyes before it was fully light outside. In contrast, Shen Qinghan was still curled up in bed, fast asleep. Lin Zikin wiped the drool from her mouth and quietly left the room to do his morning exercises in the training room. By about 7:15 am, Shen Qinghan finally woke up, lazily emerging from the room. She never wore makeup and didn't have to get up early to apply makeup like other girls did. Classes started at 8 am, so she could afford to sleep until 7:15 am. After a simple grooming session, Shen Qinghan slung over her shoulder a small crossbody bag that Lin Zikin had made for her, and left the house with him. After going down the elevator, the two went their separate ways. Shen Qinghan walked leisurely toward the teaching building of Evolution College with an umbrella in one hand and a small fan blowing on her face. She was going to attend the entrance class meeting and get to know the new college classmates. Lin Zikin headed for the Pure Human Research Institute, located in a secluded corner, to get acquainted with the other members of Tianren Pavilion, namely the 3 senior martial arts students who had reached the peak of the student rankings. 5 minutes later, Lin Zikin arrived at the Pure Human Research Institute. His speed was even faster than yesterday when Song Yuan had taken him there on a motorcycle. Entering the institute, where it was silent and not even the lights were on, Lin Zikin used danger perception to sense the biological pressures within the institute and found that the entire place had only one person, Song Yuan, in the living and leisure area. He withdrew his sensing and walked toward the front living and leisure area. Upon entering, he saw Song Yuan wearing pajamas and doing yoga on a mat, showcasing her curvaceous figure to full effect. "You're here so early." Song Yuan, continuing her difficult yoga poses, smiled and said to him. Lin Zikin responded with a smile, "Sister Yan, you arrived earlier than me. Don't get me wrong, I didn't arrive earlier than you, I've just been living at the institute." "Why live at the institute?" Lin Zikin was puzzled. The institute looked like a storeroom, and staying here couldn't be as comfortable as being at home. Song Yuan explained, "To save money. Living in the institute, the school pays for utilities, during the summer with AC, I can save several hundred a month. Just to save those few $100? Lin Zikin found it somewhat unbelievable. After all, with a status like Song Yuan's, an annual salary of $1 million wouldn't be an exaggeration. Yet she was even frugal with a few $100 of utility fees. That seemed excessively thrifty. Wondering, Lin Zikin asked, "Sister Yan, when do the dean and those 3 seniors usually come to the institute?" "Those 3 usually won't come to the institute until around 10 in the morning, and as for the dean, the timing isn't very fixed. Since he often needs to go out and mingle with his old flames. Those. Linziken felt like he had stumbled upon some incredible information and asked curiously, "How many old flames does the dean have?" "Oh, so many. I know of more than 10. The dean is truly impressive," Linziken said admiringly. Song Yuan bittersweetly smiled and said, "There's no helping it. The funding the school provides is too little, it's not enough to support the daily needs of the institute, so the dean has to go out and use his charm to attract investments." Hearing this, Linziken instantly felt Lu Juanmu's image grow in stature. 10 minutes later, Song Yuan finished yoga and took Linziken into her private research lab. She went to a cupboard, took out a stack of documents, and handed them to Linziken, saying, "This is the research results and directions of Tianren Pavilion over the years. Have a look when you're free, just to familiarize yourself a bit with the content." Linziken received the documents, as thick as a dictionary. "There's a lot of material, just skim through to get familiar, no need to look too closely. Otherwise, you might not finish by the end of the semester." After saying this, Song Yuan went to her desk and sat down, beginning her research for the day. Chapter 141, 116, The only genetic integrator in the newborns _2.